Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the new channel. Here to help you see the new you. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo, your host to this wonderful show, HR Hotline. Welcome back to the HR Hotline. I would like to request all those who are viewing now to post in the comment section where you are. We have a number of viewers now watching us. Tune in to HR Hotline. This is a wonderful day because our topic actually affects all of us, most especially that some of us are still at home because of the pandemic. Ever since in my elementary days up to now, this is a struggle. And most especially if you are owners, CEOs, managers, and HR. What I'm talking about is time management. Last time, we had Miss Ellen Folido of Manila Broadcasting Company sharing with us crisis management. And other episodes of HR Hotline, if you try to get hold of our playlist, tells us of topics, very relevant topics on how we manage and how we attack and approach our work. When I was growing up, I really hate it. The time that I'm supposed to play, I am practicing the piano from grade 1 up to fourth year college. How many years? Almost 6 plus 4 plus 4. I studied piano. Actually, I know it was my mom's way of trying to put discipline in us. So there is a time in a day that I have to practice. And for those who studied piano, violin, cello, there you are expected that there should be a time for practice aside from the lessons. So early in my life, I really have to manage my time. This is aside from the extracurricular activity. When I was in high school, I was the president of the student council. And would you believe I was the corps commander? I was with the drama school. My life was so full. How did I manage? Thanks to my parents. They taught me how to manage my time. Then, when I transferred from Legazpi here to Manila to work, after a year, I started teaching. Then, Father Ramon Salinas invited me to teach in Letran. So, after office in the Overseas Employment Development Board in Intramuros, I have to rush to teach. And there was a time I was also teaching in Lyceum and in Mapua. And the reason why, that was my reason to convince my parents that I should be here in Manila, is for me to take masters. I enrolled in the Ateneo. Good. Nice pronunciation. And Ateneo, this is school. That was the only standing edifice, structure at the time in Salcedo. Is it Salcedo? Yes. So I remember myself with my classmates. Lito, even the owner of Yupanco, Tony. We have to walk from Ateneo up to Glorieta then. My point is, I was working as a management specialist in OEDB. I was teaching and Letran, and I was studying my MBA. If you ask me, how did I do it? Manage my time. And at the time, I was young, and so my lifestyle was so bohemian. I can still go up to Baguio, go up to Tagaytay. I was not that guy which is from the office to school to home. No, I still have time to disco. Disco. It was in my generation that there was what do you call this nightlife discos. Not even the ones that you have now, which is just chilling out. So wonderful. I thank my parents who taught me how to manage time. Then along the way, I was able to take Franklin and Covey with Lirio Mapa. the forerunner of the Seven Habits. Now it's just Covey's Seven Habits. Before that, it was Franklin and Covey. And with Franklin, they were actually educating, influencing people to use a planner. And that was the time that I made it into my system that you have to make your full day, your day to be full of activities so that you become an achiever. So, question, how will you manage working from home? How will you manage your rotation? I know that people in Cebu, employees in CDO, I am having webinars in a government agency and I interact with them. They are actually on alternative work arrangements. How do they manage? One of the answers will be manage your time. Actually, when you manage your time, you are managing your stress. How will you manage your time? We will ask that from our special guest today. But I have a quick answer. Integrate your work and life. When it was face to face, it was balance. So 8 hours here, 8 hours there. But I was already doing seminars. I remember I went up to Baguio to share this with the Baguio chapter. I went down to CDO to share this with the CDO PMAP chapter on work-life integration. I just don't know if my participants then appreciated what I was telling them. Now, this time, it is actually being challenged because we are now working from home or working at home. So it's the other way around. How do you manage your work life integration? So let us discuss it today. We have a special guest. She's actually a scholar and she finished her college from PUP and then took a lot of MBA and she even went to the States. And I think that is where she met her husband. I, her her resume is it's actually 5 pages. But I would like to mention that she's a dear friend. We have been together at the People Management Association of the Philippines as board of members of the board of trustees, then as as a barkada. Then she even invited me to her other associations, Infil. I would like even to mention at this time that we can dedicate this episode to one of our dear friends, Mr. Orly Pena, who passed away recently. She is the president of People Dynamics. I'm not sure, president or CEO, and then also the president of Profiles. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my dear friend, Dr. Jocelyn Pick.
Hi, Jesse. Thank
Hey,
you so
thanks.
much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Hey, I already listed you and invited you months ago, but you're busy. You're so busy, and it's only this time that uh, we already have this conversation in HR hotline. So you were busy then. What keeps you busy these days?
Okay, so let me. That is a wonderful start for this session, Jesse,
Yes.
because I am guilty of that, and I know we have talked about me participating, and I'm so happy that I'm here. And putting it in context. I'm running a company, and but that doesn't give an excuse for spending time with things that you love and being with your friends, dear friends like you. Here's how the scenario these days look like. You and your team have important work to do. But these days, it's difficult to find the time to really focus on the work that needs to be done. And I'm guilty of that. Often, it feels like we spend all day reacting. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners also are guilty of that. We react to email, we react to chat, interruptions, meetings, and busy work. And therefore, what happens is the important work gets squeezed around the edges of these reactions. Turns out it just doesn't feel that way. Studies show, and this is a McKinsey study, that knowledge workers, such as ourselves here, spend about 60% of their day on administrative work and not on the work itself, not the part that matters, not the essential efforts that create value and make things better. And on most days, we spend less than half of our time on real work that makes a difference. And I really appreciated, the background information you gave about time management because I could relate to it. When I was in high school, I felt that I had the discipline to get things done, and I was not busy in a sense that I couldn't get other things done. I accomplished a lot. When I was in grad school, when the distractions were not there, and I don't even think I had a PC because when I was in grad school, the PC was the size of a piano to make an exaggeration, and I have to drag it to my room, and it could only be rented. I don't know if some of you remember those days. It was an HP. So there's just so many distractions, and I was amazed when I read that study from McKinsey that we spend a lot of time on administrative work. Earlier, before we started the session, I had a talk with Mr. Lloyd Luna, and he says, meron pa bang time management? Because time management has really changed, ladies and gentlemen. I used to think it's a productivity tool. But
Yes, yes, yes. So
yes,
it's not. So it's not. Yes, it has already changed because
it has changed.
It's not actually about structures. I mentioned Franklin and Covey, that
I
wherein you have
also
to,
was a product. I was also a product of
wherein
Franklin.
you are being asked to do a list on what you're going to do and to put schedules. That is why you have scheduling before programming. Or you
Yeah,
program first and then you schedule. But it has already changed. So
yes.
the question, Ma'am Jocelyn, is what is good time management?
Okay. What is good time management? I will share with you a framework.
Yes.
And it's a very simple framework. There are only 4 steps. And how did I get this? This is something that I just learned recently. And when I started applying it, I found that I now am able to focus on things and I do not get distracted. You know,
Yes.
uh, in but probably before I do that, because you were asking, okay, how do I manage my time? I did prepare something and I would like to go over it because I'd like to share what we do at the office. At my
Okay.
office, we work, people show up only once a month, but
Okay.
everybody is compensated as if they were working at the office.
Of course,
The
work from
good
home.
Everybody's work from home. And the good thing about it, Jesse, is that even as early as January, the quarantine was declared in March. As early as January and in February, we had a series of town meetings. And first, we talked about what this COVID meant, and then we talked about what we had to do. So, in other words, making use of technology, we piloted what would it be like if we were actually declared a pandemic. At that time, we were only thinking of a pandemic and not
Okay.
even, I mean, an
Actually,
epidemic.
actually,
So,
preparation and planning is part of, it's an element of
Time
time
management,
management.
you're
Okay.
right. But maybe for technology, I did ask our people to share me. Okay, we have tool stacks that we use that has made it probably manageable for us, and our HR practitioners who are here might want to look into this. There are other apps. I'm not necessarily saying this is the one and only, but for our messaging and video conferencing, we make use of Google Hangouts. This is this particular department. For the entire office, we make use of Microsoft Teams. For project management, because we do have a lot of projects, we make use of an app called Trello. Our Google Calendar is shared. And I know I can't show you my screen, but if you look at my calendar for the month, it looks like a mosaic of different color codes. Not that I am involved in all of this, but I pretty much know what everybody's doing because we share our Google Calendar. Of course, we also have our file storage that are shared. We use Google Drive and OneDrive from Microsoft. For our collaboration, wherein everybody's working from home, they have to work on a website or they have to work on a graphical presentation. We have a collaboration design software called Figma.
Okay, so that
And
means that all of you are now in the digital world. So you are now
yeah,
digitalists.
yes, but I'm not saying that we make because technology is just a tool for time management. In
That's
fact,
correct.
it is also technology that is making it more difficult for us, more stressful for us, as you said earlier. Technology is making jobs leveraged and automated. That's true. Our teams have unique human skills and capabilities that are becoming more valuable because rote work is becoming mechanized and scaled. We know that companies and in HR, we know that we are becoming remote, as you say. We're becoming this digital. Our teams are distributed. And it's tough to enforce good work practices with office culture when there is physical absence. Everybody needs to manage their own time. And that's why I think this topic certainly is very important. And I'm sure our listeners who are here have issues with that. Because what's happening right now is we are stressed. We're easily distracted, which was not like during the COVID days when we were taking Franklin. We can get things done. And when I took an assessment from profiles, what I recall one of the questions asked was if something that goes like, you know, if there's a fire or there's a lot of shouting in the building, well, I have to be literally dragged out because I am so focused in my work. Now, business is speeding up and soft skills are growing much in demand. And so, thank you for our HR, the new channel for doing that. Uh,
Okay,
Now,
so
okay,
yes,
let's go back to the notes that I have on.
so that means that with the question, what is good time management? What I'm gathering from you, Ma'am Jocelyn, is that it is actually being smart. It is not actually, you have the structure, you have your tools, but good management is actually not to stress your organization because you
Yes,
all
that's
of you it's all already there available, but it's just for you to being smart, to use all these tools and then practices so that you can manage your time. One of
yes.
which, one of which I think, which I would like to mention before we have our first break, is outsource. Say
Mm,
just
mm-hmm,
I have webinars now on working from home with a big uh, government agency. And this is
mm-hmm.
it's my second batch, so I don't have time, and sometimes my helper here, Jojo, don't actually prepare merienda. And
Mm-hmm.
I am really hungry. So what I do after my webinars at 5 o'clock, I outsource a merienda delivery, Jollibee, KFC, Food Panda. So one way is time management is being smart, outsource, have your Trello, have your Google Meet, have your, and then, and I think those are all available. It's just using what we can manage so that we can have time. So,
I
we
think we
go
can
back.
have time that matters. Time that
Yes,
really matters for us. Yeah.
yes. You know, you mentioned about the question of Lloyd. Is there still time management? Of course, yes. But your answer is correct. You have to prioritize, and then COVID, the pandemic, taught us or is teaching us to just look into the essentials and then what really matters. Do you still remember, Jocelyn, that one of Covey, wherein you have a jar and you put big and small marbles? That is
Yeah.
actually prioritizing.
Yes,
So
yes. And you said the magic word, priority.
prioritizing, wherein
Yes.
with the many things that you do with Profiles Asia and then People Dynamics, the first thing that you have to do is try to put in the big projects or the essential things to do, and then the small marbles actually are the administrative, the little things, or even with our learnings. And it depends on maybe on what is your purpose for the day. Purpose for the day. Okay, so let's have first our first break, and then we'll have more conversation, questions after the first commercials. I just realized that time management as a topic, we cannot really be the time frame of an hour. It cannot really be discussed. So I'm thinking right now that this topic should be, of course, we'll invite uh, other speakers. We'll have to discuss it, I think, twice, thrice, because there are a lot of questions as far as time management is concerned. And this time I would like to mention we have Jennifer Nuya here, who is a a fan of HR Hotline. Hello, Jennifer, and she's telling us here it is more complex with children online classes. I'm still trying to work on a schedule that includes my daughter's online classes. And then she even mentioned earlier that um, what was the mention of Jennifer here about it is actually using a lot of her energy, so it's stress. If you don't really manage your time, it also uh, consumes your energy, and it affects mental health, your mental health. Then, hello to Ruby Manyalak. Hello to uh, Pearly Mangkoy. Pearly, how are you? Bianca Laguada, and and then my Donald is also watching, and my former secretary, Ami. Ami, hello. You know, I was mentioning that in my webinars that actually, if you are not the top guy, the secretaries are not needed anymore. One of those topics that we discussed with Michelle Cordero Garcia. Anyway, going back to time management, let me read this. Manage your time so that all you can also be tuned in to TNC. What you can do is just like before when we have our labandera, yung ang Chadeli, while she irons, while she washes clothes, naka-tune in yung radyo. So that is what you do with TNC. When you have an Android, you can do other things. You can multitask. You can. That is what I actually do. You know, I impose it to myself. I am the one because it was uh, shared to me by Femery that I have to iron my clothes. And I remember my lolo also taught me how to iron my clothes. And the time that I am ironing my clothes, I have the helpers, but I insist to do it. That is the time that I watch Lloyd. So that is my time. When it is already, can we have the slide again, Marvin? That the time that I'm watching the big picture, that is the time that I am ironing my underwear. So you can tune in with TNC. I am your lunch date. While you are taking lunch, you can listen to me. Just open it with your cell phone, unless you have that connection that you connect me to your TV monitor. Then we have the family business, the fourth project. We have the Usapang Beauty. You Turn is actually a show before me on Thursdays. Then the home buyer, the puppet stories in the afternoon with your children. To after the online classes, you can watch this. Then the marketplace. It's a nice uh, interaction of what you can buy. Then YOLO and the talk, insights, foreign speakers, local speakers, after shift, the win, town hall, and one day. So this is the new normal. What you can do is just tune in. Then, of course, we have another show that is coming in, Timber Sola Babaw. It will be on September 4 at 5:30. So it will be, we are on live stream. And what is good with live stream, you can forward this. You can endorse this later on to friends who are interested. HR hotline, I already have a niche. I know. Aside from the live uh, viewers, an hour or two, the number of viewers doubles, triples into hundreds, and a week after, it's almost 1,000. And this is a niche because it's about HR and it's about life. Okay, so let's go back to our guest, Dr. Jocelyn Pick.
Earlier,
Okay. Yes, as I
earlier,
mentioned,
okay, go ahead.
as I mentioned, good time management is more of being smart. Of more is
Yeah.
more of being smart. So, what are the elements of time management, Jocelyn? It's a little
Oh,
basic, but we should share that. What are the elements? There are various of good time management.
I would like to share something that I just learned recently, and I said I would share it. It's a four-step process or a four-step framework. And how did that come about? Jesse, you're an emotional intelligence practitioner. I know,
Yes, yes. I
and
have actually a webinar on emotional intelligence with ECOP.
yes, and somehow you try to relate emotional intelligence, mindfulness as all really related to time management. Earlier, Jennifer said, "Oh, I feel like my energy is drained because I have to do homeschooling." I can relate to that because I also have to do the same thing. So we talk about time management elements. We need to have the discipline. We need to have willpower. We need to have a checklist of things that we have to do, of tasks that needs to get done. For that, we need to have energy and stamina. We need to have focus or grit, and we have somehow be able to resist distractions like, hey, I've got 100 emails, I have notifications coming out from my Facebook, 300 people like my post and things like, we get distracted so easily, and so we lose our focus. What I'd like to share is one that I learned from John Zeratsky and Jake Knapp. And this is a topic of discussion among the genus emotional intelligence practitioners, because you met Derek McCann. He invited these guys and discussed the book. And what is their framework? There are 4 steps to the framework. The first step is choosing a single highlight to prioritize in your day. Why? When I reflect at night and I tell myself, what happened today? What was the most significant thing that happened to me today? I couldn't even point out what it is. That's because I didn't have a single highlight that I prioritize. That's why I said it's good that you mentioned priority. But somehow this jelly bean that we put in the bottle, probably we have to modify that. After that is we need to employ tactics so we can stay laser focused on what we highlight as important. In my case, I have a list of tasks to do, and then I try to compare it and check the gap between how much time do I spend on this, and I find out that the gaps are big. And so I find out that a tool would be to really just choose a single highlight for the day. Throughout the day, then you will need to build energy. And so it's not good to be working all the time. You need to take breaks so you can be in control of your time and your attention. Because if you're tired and you say, you don't have the time, I'm so busy, you won't be able to really find the time to do the good work. And finally, at the end of the day, you'll find time to reflect and take note. So it's a 4-step process. Highlight, number 1. Laser, number 2. Reflect, number 3. And energize. And you start each day by
Wow.
choosing a focal point.
Yes, yes. So wonderful.
And you know
Wonderful.
what is this highlight? This highlight is in the medium between a task, because it's definitely a lot more than a task, but probably less than a goal. So that at the end of the day, you say, hey, what was the highlight of my day today? It is something that you had identified. You become offensive instead of defensive and being reactive to all the things that come out our way that makes us very, very busy.
Okay. So I'm learning, Jocelyn. Say I have Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays
Yes,
show here at TNC.
yes,
So on that particular day, will that be the highlight for my day?
yes. So
But
you
there
come
are
up,
Tuesdays and Thursdays wherein there is also a webinar. So I have to choose whether what is more greater, that show in TNC or my webinar with another company. So I have to choose which is the highlight. But there is also that point wherein I will also like to cook dinner.
yeah,
So
good point. That's
so
right.
the competing priorities are my show with Jocelyn, my
Uh-huh.
webinar on working from home, and my
Yes.
cooking adobo.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time we had adobo? And that was 2 weeks ago. Which is more of the highlight of the day? The TNC episode? Or will it be the webinar or my adobo? So it depends on the purpose of the day and what really brings out the best in you. I'm getting you
Correct.
right when
What
you say
finds
this.
what where do you find joy? You might choose something at home, like you say, cooking adobo, or maybe even planting, maybe playing the piano, setting aside a time for
Because
that. And
actually there are a lot of things that you can do in a day which you consider your highlight. prayer is one.
Yeah.
Prayer is one. I say, I promise the family of a neighbor who just died that I will pray. That can be the highlight for the day.
Yes. And of course,
So,
your highlight isn't the only thing that you need to do each day. You know, your highlight can also contain multiple steps. For example, if you want to finish a presentation that could produce, you could come up with doing the slides or the PowerPoint, the closing remarks, and the intro. You could do that as part of a series of steps, but it will be your priority. Ask yourself, what's going to be the highlight of my day?
that
It
goes
might,
back, that goes back to that life now is so boring because you always think that it's all the same. Say, watching Netflix, cooking the adobo, doing the episode, it's all the same. So at least depends on your feelings. What you have to choose what is the highlight for the day because actually these are already routines in your life. So what that is what I'm gathering from you, Jocelyn. That
yes,
say
in other
I
words, these are routine, but you make a conscious effort of intentionality. You
yes,
put intention each day to these routine things. Because there are a
yes,
lot of, like in my case, I always wanted to finish that book. I wanted to write. I want to learn painting. I wanted to read. There are many, many things I'd like to do. But I cannot even put it in my schedule. And what I'm learning now is if you want to do those things, put a time and put it in your schedule
but that
or
is
in
what
your
Lloyd.
action.
That is what Lloyd mentioned. There should be no structure. The question is still there time management? I think it's blurry already. Because just like say, I came from Inquirer, so I read the newspaper every day. I would like to fill the newspaper. So there are times that you are really that busy and you don't have time to open the newspaper, although I have a subscription. So what I do is I really have to have around 3 minutes to 5 minutes opening the newspaper and to read. On what time of the day, I do not know. So there is no structure. There is no structure. It can be right after this, I am eating, I can open it, or before I sleep, I open it, or while in the garden when I'm already tired, I'll open the newspaper and read. Is this that what is what you call there is no structure anymore as far as time management is concerned.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I did say that you've got to have a laser sharp focus in order to beat the distraction. I mean, this is very typical for me before. I wake up early, like 5, 4 o'clock. I start opening my computer. I look at all the emails, and then I see a dozen old ones that I have not responded to. My goal is to have a zero inbox. And then a friend of mine posted pictures of her visit to, let's say, Machu Picchu or what have you. And then I suddenly remember, hey, I invested in some stocks. How's it doing today? And then I heard about this new app or this new gadget that I'd like to know. And then I found out that there was a government official that was corrupt and was fired, money was lost. And then I think about, hey, I still have a few minutes of Fortnite, but I have a lot of
Yes.
meetings today. And the next thing I know, it's late. My driver is waiting for me. Malcolm's complaining that I let the driver wait too long. And that's how my time gets wasted.
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, that's true. You are surfing your social media, and sometimes it eats a lot of your time. You know what I do, Jocelyn?
Mm-hmm.
First, I deleted all those friends of mine who are not
Uh,
actually very close friends of mine who are giving me a lot of stress. So I deleted that in my social media. The next is all the good mornings and the formatted prayers. Sometimes I just click it so that it will be seen. Then I don't actually read it anymore. And then there are times that I am choosy on what information that is given to me in the social media, and we really have to make it a point that lessen our engagement with our social media because it eats up a lot of the time. Yes, that's true. So
Thank
aside
you.
from
Thank you for saying that. Was about the message I was going to say. Remove some of those apps. Look at your cell phone, your smartphone. Do you really need all of those? A lot of those are time
yes,
wasters.
yes, yes, and included. Pardon my saying. A lot of the webinars sometimes are time wasters.
I would agree with you there, Jesse. So
A
I'm very
lot.
selective. I am very selective too.
Yes. Although we have the choice on what are the things that we have to do. So again, it depends on what you just mentioned. Focus. Focus on what is essential for you. Focus on what is it.
And
Jose,
the third step is energize. Oh, we're almost done. The body and the brain need to be connected. We need to put energy. We are not connected just by our necks, but we have to make sure that we take care of our body.
yeah,
Exercise,
this is where this
food.
is where this is where work life integration comes in.
Yes, that's right. It is because what's happening now, there's so many cases of mental health. Ruby, who's listening here,
Yes.
her team has set up an employee assistance program precisely because so many people are suffering from mental health issues. So let's
Yes.
not forget to take care of our body, have that sleep, have that rest. I noticed, Jesse, that you're sending out messages at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm also guilty of that. But they say that the body needs about 7 hours of sleep, at least.
Yes,
Do you
I
agree?
know that. I know that. I know. There are times that I really have to. I'm still awake up to around 2 o'clock because at this time that I'm home, I am enjoying my collection of brewed coffee. So that,
Okay.
and then actually, because seldom I drink coffee in the afternoon. When I take it, then I'm really awake up to the wee hours early morning. But I am enjoying it. But I really wake up also late. I am,
Yeah,
I am,
but
I
that's good if you're enjoying. Yeah, you find joy too in the quiet and enjoying your
yes.
cup of coffee. Why not?
I am not a morning person. My productive time is actually in the afternoon and early evenings. That is my productive. So that is also one element of time management is for you to determine what is your productive time. You cannot really force yourself to do things. Then this time you parang I am a little bit slow at this time of the day because that is not your productive time. That's an also. Now let us go back to the distraction. There are a lot of distractions now as far as
Oh,
time management is concerned and affecting your mental health. Your roomies. Actually, we are forced to be at home, and one of the distractions are to your children, your wife, or the people around you. So we should really we should really have that what do you call this? Negotiate with your roomies that the time that you're working, you are living actually home. The mindset is you are not at home, so that they will give you space. So this is the work-life integration that I was mentioning. This is the time that it's not anymore the balance. You are integrating life, but you have to make sure that you still have the focus on what you're supposed to do, which is work. Which is work. What are the
correct.
elements? What other elements kaya when you go?
Well, other
Uh,
elements, of course, is every night. It's always good to reflect before
yes,
you go
yes.
to bed.
Okay, let's discuss that. Reflect. Yes.
Yeah, your
So
reflection. It's
what
super
you have done for
simple.
the day.
Yeah, you decide which ones, like you said, you remove some of your friends. Was this a good tactic? Do you want to continue it? And which ones do you want to refine further, or which ones are the ones you drop? And you
Yes.
think back on your energy and
Yes.
whether you made time for your highlight, your most
Actually, when the
important
time that you're
priority.
reflecting at night, or you can even reflect any time of the day, you are actually preparing for the next move. When you reflect, sometimes I do that. Then I mea culpa. I will say, ah, I did not give a lot of my time to this initiative, to this venture, and which again we go back to the highlight, which and the focus of of the day. So the purpose. Then another element is actually we cannot keep time We cannot
Uh,
invent, I'm sorry, we cannot invent time anymore. Yeah, it's already there. 60 seconds, 1 minute, 60 minutes, an hour, 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 12 months in a year. So we can, Saint Gregory and the Mayans and everybody in the ancient history uh, already, it is already set for us. So we still have to follow the rising and then the falling of the sun. So we have to follow that. So what I mean is we still have to have a calendar. We still have the to-dos of the day. What are your thoughts on this?
You know, my thoughts on the to-dos. I used to come up with a long list of to-dos. Sadly, maybe only about 10% gets accomplished, especially in this day and age. So I have sticky notes. So I kind of like refocus myself. I just want to do things that are important. Not I have to learn how to say no because we Filipinos, we're very social animals. We want to be there where the action is, so we are more selective. So for the list, yeah, it's good. And it's important to have a calendar. Very important to have a calendar because you have to put the things that are important for you and schedule it in your calendar. I didn't do that before. I didn't schedule my day, my time for prayer. I didn't schedule my time for exercise because I said, hey, you know, that's already a given. And in the process, I end up not even doing it. So
Yeah,
having a
right.
schedule and a calendar, Jesse, is definitely important. The to-do list, I want to rethink how I'm doing my to-do because I'm not really accomplishing a lot of my to-dos.
Okay. So actually what I'm gathering from you is that we just have to synchronize, just have to be synchronize life with time, not the other way around, not synchronize time with our life. So it's
Yeah.
more of our life, what you're going to do, and just put the time element, the time frame. Okay, we still have some questions, but we have two breaks in this episode. Jocelyn, I told you that talking about time management, it will really take time. What a paradox.
Yeah, it will. But
We, we, we even haven't
we have
started talking about management actually.
yeah, we have to take the time in order to make time work for us.
Yes. Okay. So at this point, can we ask again Marvin, our director, to at this episode to give us the second break for the day? Can we have the commercials, please? Welcome back to HR Hotline. And we have a wonderful conversation with Dr. Jocelyn Pick on time management. And this is the portion of the job fair. Fair as in FARE and fair as in FAIR. Let's start with the first one, fair. So there are still some organizations, despite of the pandemic, that are actually looking for people. And our sponsor, Wills Design and Associates, are still looking for project managers, m- engineers, and genetic engineers, what you can do is just to apply to their website. Pollution control officers, heavy equipment managers. Can we go on to the next slide? HR supervisors, talent acquisition supervisors. And then what you have to do is just, can we have the, yes? Can we go to the slide wherein they can, yes, warehouse manager. And this is it. Try to get, picture it, email to recruitment at WDAINC .com. Wills Decena Associates Incorporate.com. And look for Ryan or Eileen. Also at Puzzlebox. They're still looking for an HR officer, copywriters, media buyers. Can we have the, yes, what you have to do is send your resume or application to careers at Puzzlebox. I'm also going to do some uh, webinars. What I have here is conducted a virtual competency-based interviews on October 1. If you're interested, try to picture this and then register. This is just a one-day webinar. There's another one with Echo. There's another one with ECOP. Can we have the other one? Which is actually on succession planning. Mabin, can we have the other one? Okay, so this is it. So how do you fare? How do you fare now as an HR? How do you influence your people? How do you influence your boss or everybody that there is what you call synchronous and asynchronous arrangement while doing at work? As an HR person, how do you influence people that they have to follow the time frames given them? And this is in particular the output needed. Are people still reliable and dependable that they follow the time frame given? That question actually affects what we discussed earlier. Outcome is actually the last. Before they can do that, then they have to manage their time. That is why we're discussing it. We'll have one or a couple of episodes on time management because I still have a lot of things in my mind to ask. Okay, can we go back to Dr. Jocelyn Pick? I have two more questions because before
Hello.
we ask her to for the parting message. The first question is, uh, I mentioned about having it calendared, and Jennifer mentioned it that of course for you to be make sure that you don't miss anything, you have to calendar it. But the other question is, how do you time keep? There is a difference between keeping time, that is being synchronizing your life to time, and time keep. Because I mentioned that earlier. When you time keep, you make sure that your outputs are delivered when it is needed. So how do you time keep at this time of the pandemic? Share your thoughts, Dr. P.
Again, I go back to the four-step framework. It's really identifying what is important for you. Some of the things that's important for you is you need to get things done because it's urgent. But then there are also things that you want to get done. It might not be something that's needed right away. So if you do that in little bits every day, you should be able to manage doing those projects. And there is this acronym called BOLD. Take control, balance. There's balance. Do you ever find yourself looking for things that you cannot find? It's because maybe your desk is so cluttered or your filing system in your computer is so cluttered. It will be good to spend some time each day to make sure that things are perfectly balanced and therefore you can be more efficient at work. Then the other one is organize your time. I know we're talking about time management. And there goes the master calendar that you were talking about, Jesse. And we've had sessions in PMAP on the Maricondo, I believe. So let things go. There is a rule we often follow at home that says if you have not used an item or a gadget for over a year, get rid of it. We need
Mm-hmm.
to apply the same thing at work. When you no longer need things, get rid of them. If
Mm-hmm.
you're going through a stack of paper or items, start out with three piles and act on them quickly. Sort them into piles, shred, store, or dump them in the garbage. And of course, delegate. I am very fortunate that I have very responsible and brilliant people working in our company, and I have actually delegated a lot of tasks. And because I think it's also empowering. When I was also new in my career, I always loved it. The tasks were delegated to me. It empowered me. So you save the time for those things which you are uniquely qualified to do, and you can ease up your workload through delegation. So there you go. Bold, balance, organize your time, let things go, and delegate.
Wow, what wonderful learnings. Okay, so time flies. So
It does. Yeah.
thank you very much, Dr. Jocelyn Pick. Can we have your parting message to our viewers and listeners?
My parting message is we have a lot of distractions these days, and it is these distractions that need to be managed because it's causing stress. We have to be mindful of what we are doing, and we can make use of little tools and techniques, change of mindset to prevent us from getting crazy. And Jesse, my parting words to you, I know you've always been trying to invite me in the past, and I said I was always so busy. But now, I know what's important, such as participating in a conversation like this. You told me and you promised me at the start that this will be an enjoyable episode. And actually, it is. I find joy in talking and participating. Thank you to you for inviting me. And I'd like to thank Lloyd and our producer. And congratulations for this wonderful new channel, the TMC.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jocelyn Pick. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We discussed about time management and time flies. And we didn't even actually use the time allotted here. It's what is actually in my that list of questions. It's only around 20%. Time is a resource. It's a resource that we have to reckon with. The time that we are born until the time that we are about to pass away. So even in our work, I remember, and that is my mantra, to mother, to we call her mother, Lourdes, mother Lulu. I told her that we have to work until the last minute when we are with Inquirer. And that should be the mantra. Up to the last minute, you have to contribute. So you have to use that resource that is given to you. Use that resource from the time you wake up until the time that you sleep. Use that resource. Make make it. There should be a result. Make it profitable to you. Make it gainful for you. So you have to manage your time. The question again, when we have another time for this topic, is how we are going to influence others. That they have to keep up. Time keep and keep time. Just like when you play the piano, you have to follow the rhythm. That is also one thing that we have to discuss. The rhythm of life. Which is why the question of Lloyd Luna is still there. It's still important. Do we still have time management at this time? Of course, yes. But the mindset, the concept has changed because we're going back to the time we're in. We feel the rhythm of life, putting life to be in sync with time. We're in what we get from our speaker, guest today. What is the essential? What is actually the highlight? You might be busy doing things that you will later on actually found out that it was a waste. So time management encompasses our life. The risk, the stress, and how we use it because it is a resource. It is something that is important. Have a thought on this. Not even with how you do it with your organizations, not even because you are working remotely. Have a thought if you are using your time on earth efficiently and effectively, and you are enjoying your life because you have the luxury of time. This is Jesse Francis Rebustillo. Just marvelous po.